All right, welcome to week 1 of front-end development with HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript. In this lesson, we're going to look at the basic structure of the HTML5 document. We are going to look at how to structure a web page, and then we're going to create our first web page. For us to start, you need to have your text editor installed, and I'm sure most of you already have that because I saw a lot of submissions of assignments already. For assignment grading, actually, we grade after the deadline for assignments. Assignments are due by midnight on Sundays, which means coming Sunday, your assignments are due, and midnight Atlantic Standard Time, which will fall the following morning for those on the African continent. So if you have your text editor installed, I'm going to be using Atom. You can use Visual Studio Code, which is the best text editor you can use, or any text editor that makes you comfortable for your operating system. I already have a folder that I have added here, and then we're going to create our files within this folder. So I'll create a new file, and I'm going to name this file template. We're going to discuss file extension and why the name is template. Now, HTML5 is the standard for web pages, and it's not a programming language. It is just a markup language. The first line of every HTML5 element is a doc-type declaration. And this declaration's purpose is to tell the web page or the browser that this is an HTML5 document, and then it makes it understand how to pass this document. So we have the doc-type declaration. This is not a tag, it is just a declaration. So we'll put the less than sign, an exclamation mark, doc-type HTML. And then we have something we call tags. In HTML, we write tags with a less than sign, the name of the element, and a greater than sign. Some tags are void, which means that you don't close them. And some tags needs to be closed, like the HTML tag. And then you put the less than sign, the forward slash, the name of the element, and the greater than sign. The difference between the start and end tag is the forward slash that comes immediately after the less than sign for the end tag. So it's good practice to start and end your tag before you write things in between, so you don't forget to close your tags. But most text editor will have syntax highlighting that makes you see where each tag closes, and if you miss one, it will highlight that for you. So it is within the start and the end HTML tag that you begin to have all the other tags. There are two parts to the HTML document. We have the head part. The head element is not a void element, which means you will close it. And then we have the second part, which is the body part. So now we have our web document. We have defined all of the tags that we need. Within this head area, we define metadata. Everything that comes between the start and the end is not displayed on the web page. Everything that comes between the body parts is what we display on the web page. For us to save a web page, we have two file extensions. Either we use .html or .htm. And for those of you who are familiar with using a computer, you will see that we have a Word document that ends with .docx. You have Excel files that end with SLS, things like that, and PDF with .pdf. So for HTML or web pages, you save them with .html extension or .htm. Now I save this as a text file, .txt, so that this will be a template file where we copy, create new files, and create new web pages. So you don't have to repeat the basic structure every time you need to create a new web page. So before I create a page out of this, we're going to look at the head elements, and we're going to look at all of the tags that come within the head area for us to save this as a template and continue to copy this to use on other parts or other files that we are going to create. Now we know the full meaning of HTML, which stands for hypertext, H for hypertext, H for hyper, T for text, M for markup, and L for language. Okay? Any questions before I go further?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Mubarak Aja Obiaho. I joined the meeting a few minutes ago, so I want to ask, which app are we using?
Okay, you can use any text editor you want. You can use Notepad++, Atom. I'm using Atom. Now, Atom has been sunset, so it will be difficult for you to download Atom, so you can use Visual Studio Code instead of Atom.
All right, thank you so much.
But if you need to use Atom, just ask a question in the WhatsApp group chat, and I will send you a download link where you can actually get it. But I recommend you use Visual Studio Code, which is actually the best text editor.
All right, thank you so much.
All right. So the head element holds information about information. So those are called metadata. The HTML element that we place between this start and end tag will not display on the web page. The only thing that will display is actually something we call the title tag. And this displays not on the web page, but in the browser window. So let's put the title, and then when we test the page, we're going to see. So when you open a browser, on the browser window, you'll find a text written above it. That text comes between the start and the end title tag, and the title tag comes in the head area. I'm going to post the link of the WhatsApp group. It's in your first announcement. If you log into the your students page, you should find the link for the WhatsApp group. Okay. But I will send an announcement, so you watch out for your email after the class, and then you'll find a link to join the WhatsApp group. We have a tag we call the base tag. The base tag is a void element, and this base tag is what we use to provide a URL in the events that we have other URLs, relative URLs that we can't load on the page without having a base, and we're going to discuss how we use this. Also in the head area, we have something called the link tag, which is a void element also. It doesn't close. When you have void elements, you can self-close by putting a / after the link, after the name of the element, or you can leave it without the /. Now, when we are learning this, we are learning for accessibility. And when we say accessibility, we mean people who have disabilities, the blind, those that are deaf, those with conditions that make them not able to browse the web page and use things like screen readers or brailles to read and things. So you want to design your web page so that these devices can actually read the page, and you want to design it for responsiveness also. And that is why you want to keep to all the rules of best design practices. So if you have a void element, instead of just writing the tag without anything, you put the tag and put the / at the end of the tag, and that is best practice. We have something we call the meta tag also. The meta tag is also a void element. So take note of the void element. There are no rules to state why something is void and the other is not void. This is how the language was or the HTML was created. So with time, we are going to know which elements are void. If you're not sure, always browse them. I don't recommend trying to put everything in your head. Always have a reference manual that you go to check these things. But what we normally do is to study smart so that you know what exists, and then you keep a reference to where you find the information when you need it. Now, can someone ask the question? Someone said they want to ask a question in the chat. Yeah, Archie, you wanted to ask a question? Okay, so whoever needs a question, you can ask now.
My name's Kenneth Kasonde.
Okay.
I'm finding it difficult to install my code editor.
Okay.
So I don't know how we're going to learn, or if I can use any other right now that can be fast. Otherwise, downloading it, I think it might take some time. So
what system are you using? Windows?
Yes, Windows 10.
Okay, so Windows comes by default with Notepad. So in your search bar, search for Notepad. Notepad is there. You can actually use Notepad. But the thing with Notepad is it won't give you syntax highlighting where to color code it for you to see where you're making a mistake. It's just plain text. So you can actually use Notepad if you have installation problems.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and for those using Mac, you can use text edit. This comes by default with every MacBook, and every Windows system comes by default with Notepad. No, not all the void tags are between the head. We have other tags that are void that are also in the body area. And as we go along, you will know what elements are void and which ones are not void. But not all void elements go in the head. Like if the image tag is void, it comes in the body area. When we start doing forms, we have things like the input element is a void element. It comes in the body area. So there are several tags that are void that are not in the head area also. So you just take note that when an element is void, it doesn't have a close tag. And what we mean by void, it just means that this element does not display anything on the page. It just takes information or attributes that defines or gives a reference to something that it needs. For instance, the meta tag is going to help with maybe search engine optimization, gives description and content of the web page, and certain things that we can use, or when you have Google search, certain information that comes out about the site is going to be within the meta tag. The link tag is going to be used to provide link or reference to an external style sheet. The title tag, it just specifies what you put in the browser window when they navigate through different pages. So you can see a page on the browser window will have home, other pages will have things like contacts, about, things like that. We have the script tag. The script tag can come in any part of the web page, either in the head or the body. But most of the time, I like the script tag is better placed at the bottom of the body tag, just before the close body tag, the body tag. If you have reference to external scripts file or to a CDN, you might want to place them in the head area. But sometimes when we get to JavaScript, you recognize that the position of the script tag determines whether your JavaScript will load or will not load, because sometimes the script needs to find whatever tag you are referencing in the script before the existence of the script. And we're going to look at this in detail, so don't struggle to understand this yet. We also have the style tag that we use to embed style on the web page, and the style tag comes in the head area. It has a close tag. It is not a void element. We have, I think we'll stop here with the tags that come within the head area. So for all of these tags, the only tag that can be in the body area is the script tag. Script tag can be anywhere on the web page, either the head or the body or as an external file. So let us start with the ones that we're going to deal with today. So let's look at the base tag. When we have something on the page, let's say for instance, I want to put a link on the page. Before this, I'll copy this and I'll create a new file, and I'll call this index.html. So the file extension is .html, and then I'll paste this here. Once you have your correct file extension, your text editor is going to color code everything that you have so that you know when you have made a mistake and when a particular tag is not closed. When I click on the start head tag, you see it highlights the end, then I'll know that this is closed. When I click on the body, it highlights the end. So every time you try to find if all your tags are closed, because by the time you start working, you will realize that sometimes when your tags are not closed, you begin to have errors that you don't expect, and then tracing the errors will be a little difficult. So we have the head area. So let's start. This has been saved as index.html. I'll go to the folder and I'll try to open this. When you want to open, you can choose your browser. So your page should be responsive and it should be able to load in any of the 5 major browsers, either Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Opera, Apple Safari, or Mozilla Firefox. Chrome is the most responsive website, and it's always good to test with all 5 browsers, but Chrome is the most responsive browser. And when you develop, most of the time you want to test on Chrome, and then you want to navigate to other browsers to see that your web page displays properly with the 5 major browsers. So I'm going to choose Chrome, and we'll be testing with Chrome. Now the web page is blank. We have this web page, and it is blank. In the head area, we have the title tag. We close title. I want this to be the home page, and so I'll put home between the start and end title tag. And when I save this and I go to the web page, can you guys see the web page?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So when I'm
all
right, when I'm on the web page and I refresh, we'll see that the browser window now has home as its name. If I change this from home to, let's say, about, and I come to the browser and I refresh, it changes to about. So this is what we use the title tag to do, to be able to name or write whatever we want to see on the browser window here. So that is for the title tag. We have the base tag. And we said previously that the base is a void element. Let's say, for instance, I have a link, and don't bother about knowing how to create a link. We just use this for illustration. And I want this to be HTTPS www.facebook.com, right? /about. And then I'll say go to Facebook, and then I'll close the anchor tag. So this is called the anchor tag that we use to specify a link on a page. When I save this and I refresh my page, we'll see that we have go to Facebook as a link, and when we click on it, it will go to facebook.com here. So we have the about page of Facebook loaded here. So I'll go back so we can illustrate what I want to do. Let me let this open on a new browser window by specifying a target attribute. Now we have the link in the body area, and the link is a full link to Facebook /about, and we're able to load the about page. What if we have a relative URL that just says /about? Then this page will no longer load, because what we want is the about page, and what we specified is just /about. When I click on this, we'll have an error because now the URL is relative. To solve this problem, we have something we call a base tag here, and the base tag uses the href attribute. So what we use attribute for is to put additional information or functionality to a tag. href is equal to, and in a pair of quotes, I specify https www.facebook.com. So now this about knows that it is going to the about page of the base URL, which is Facebook. And now when I go back there and I refresh my page, I'm going to close this. Let me open the page back. So when I click on this now, it goes to the about page, because at this point now, it can find the about page because we have specified the base URL, and the relative path that we have provided here knows exactly what site is supposed to look for before going to the about page of that site. So this is what we use the base to do. In the base URL, we can also specify a target attribute like this. And in the target, we want to specify if it opens in a new browser window or in the same browser window. We're going to look at attributes in another lesson. We have the link tag. And we're going to look at this in next week's lesson. And the link tag is used to specify an external style sheet, a CSS file, to the page. So if you have a style sheet and you want to apply the styles to this page, you specify a source attribute where you put the link to the file that you want to use. So we'll say link real is equal to style sheet, and then we'll specify the type is equal to text or CSS, and then we'll specify the the link tag uses the href like the others. So when you want to specify the link to an external, we use href. When we get to images, we use source to specify the link. So we have href is equal to, then you specify the address of the file. And so in week 3, when we do file referencing, we are going to know how to specify addresses of the file based on where it is on your system. But you're going to use an absolute URL so that outside of your system, the files will still load. Okay, and so this is for the link tag. We've discussed the style tag, where we used to embed style on the web page. We're going to look at this in week 2, where we deal with cascading style sheet. It is between the start and end style tag that we specify CSS styles. And when we use the style tag, any style we use is only applied to this file. If we have several other files here, this style does not apply to those files, only on the file in which you embed the style. And then we have the script tag that we discussed also. If you have JavaScript, I think in week 15, we will start JavaScript. And within the start and end script file, you specify your JavaScript code. And the code is going to apply only to this file because you're embedding that script on this page. So let's look at the meta tag. For the meta tag, it is a very important tag. The first thing we want to specify is a character set. And because the best character set to use is UTF-8, we want to specify meta. The attributes to use is char set is equal to UTF-8. Now, because this covers all of the characters and symbols for majority of the languages in the world. If you have a language where you spell your name with diacritical mark, max UTF-8 is the best character set that can actually display or pass this properly. We also use the meta tag to have keywords for search engines. And at this point, we use meta, but we are going to put the name now to be equal to keywords. And then now we have something we call the content attribute, which will now specify the keywords. So let's say we are creating this website, and it's a website about real estate, and you have some real estate keywords, or it's about houses in a particular area. Let's say we have this estate or this area called, let's say, Success Estate. And you know that people will want to search for Success Estate, but you want the search engine to display results for any search term closely related to Success Estate. You can put success, you can put estate, you can put housing, you can put the name of the state. Let's say this is Lagos. You can put real estate. So any keyword that relates to what the business is about, you can put an exhaustive list of keywords, but all as is comma separated list. So it now increases your search engine optimization. When people come to search Google for something, your site stands a chance of displaying at the results because the content type here, the keywords, contains a keyword that makes that index as part of the results for that search. So we also have meta, and we have a name called description. And for this description, what you do is to provide the content. When you have like Google search or something, you will see that when it displays a title, it displays a little content beneath it, and then you click on the site to read all of the content. That content is created within this meta tag. So you can put a description and say maybe a short one paragraph description of the site or something. So when the search engine displays this site. It has a description underneath it. So here you can just type anything here and say, welcome to Success Real Estate. We are located, or just any information you want. It shouldn't be anything formal, but anything you know gives a short summary of what it is about here. Then we have the meta tag that we use to specify the author of the page. So the name is going to be equal to author, and then the content will now be equal to the name of the author. So let's say the author name is Jane Doe. And so even if your name is Googled or somebody searches your name, this meta will make this page come up because your name is part of the author in the meta tag there. Now, there's a rumor that most of the search engines, Google and the rest, do not really use meta tag in their algorithms as much anymore, but it's still a rumor, we don't know. What we already know is that this is the purpose of these tags, and you try to use them exhaustively to give your site a chance of having a lot of display and traffic. One of the most important meta tag here is the viewport. Now, you see sometimes you have sites that when you look at the site on the computer, it is nice, it displays well. If you have a small screen like a phone or a tablet, it begins not to display properly. It is called responsive web design. Like you are designing for every device, and from week 10, we're going to start responsive web design, where we look at how to use CSS to make the site responsive. But in HTML5, we have this called the viewport. And what the viewport does is that it provides the width of the device and the initial scale. And you have to specify this first before the style sheet uses media query to look at what device it is and display or create your code for each of the device and a different size. You understand better in week 10 when we start responsive design, where you can have different styles for different types of device, but you only have one design or one website, but it displays differently for tablets, for phones, or it displays for mobile device, for print device, and others. And so we're going to look at that in details. But the meta tag that starts that process comes in the head area, and the content will specify width is equal to device width. And then we have the initial scale, and the initial scale is set to 1.0 or 1, and this is just going to set the initial zoom level when the page first loads. So these are the meta tags of importance that we're going to use. We can also specify document language. We're going to look at that later on. We specify language here with the lang attributes of the HTML start tag. We can also specify language in other parts, but we're going to look at that in details at another time. So I'm going to take questions before we move to the next topic in the body area. Anyone with question? But is it clear so far? Is it understandable and easy to follow?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay, now we are done with the head area. We know how the things that come in the head area. Let's now look at the body area. So I'm going to delete this, and then I'll save this. I will refresh our page. Let me close this. Yes, the meta tag works in the background, so something like that. So I'll refresh this page. We have nothing on the web page, and so we're going to start. In the body area, everything you want on your web page is what you put there. Okay. We have headings, and we have tags for headings in the body area. The headings are defined with the H tags, written H. We have 6 heading levels, H1 to H6. H1 being the most important heading level and H6 being the least important heading level. Now, this is very important for accessibility, because when screen readers read this, it's going to use these levels in different ways. So we're going to show you how we are going to structure your page with the different heading levels, and you don't use like headings to make a paragraph bold or something. You use headings for what headings are useful, because you are building with people with disabilities in mind. So when we have the H1 elements, let's say this is a heading. Let's copy this and look at how the different heading sizes will be for the 6 heading levels. So we have H2, sorry, H3, H4, H5, H6. I'll save this, go to my web page, refresh, and we'll have the 6 heading level. This is H1, H2. You can see the different sizes of the headings down to H6. So based on how you want your bold, you want or big you want your heading, you will choose which heading tag you are going to be using to write a heading on the web page. So let's leave H1 and say we have heading, and let's put this heading as welcome to week 1. Now, when we will have a heading, the next thing you want to have is maybe like a paragraph on the page. We use P tag to write paragraphs, and the paragraphs are, the P tag has a close element, but there's something I want to illustrate to you. When you have a paragraph, let's say I write something like the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. I'm going to copy this to make it faster, and then I'll paste it. Now, even if I make it reach the end of the screen, or I come here to break it and say I want each one on a new line, HTML does not respect whatever you put on a new line here. When I refresh my page, it is going to run to get to the end of the screen before it goes to the new line. But what you should not do is to start a new paragraph every time you want a new line. Whenever you want a new line, you use something we call the break tag. It is a void element. So you put BR beside them, which means that I want the next thing after this BR to start on a new line. And when I refresh, it's going to start on the new line there. So take note that paragraphs do not break when you break them. When you write, they only break when you use a break tag or when it sees the close paragraph tag. You don't want to start a new paragraph time every time you need a break. So you can just use a break tag to start a new line. And when you get to cascading style sheets, you can create your styles that changes all of these. Yeah. So we have all of this text there. I'm going to put more text so we can have a long text on the page. Okay, so we have some text long enough for us to illustrate the next topic. When we have text like this, you can see that they're not formatted. Let's say, for instance, you have this text, you want to do things like make something bold there, or make things italics, or emphasize certain stuff here. We'll look at the different formatting elements that we have in HTML, and then we're going to see how they affect or how they reflect on the web page. We have the bold tag. Let's say we want to make the nouns bold here. The fox is a noun. We put a B tag before we start the fox, and we close it after the fox, like this. So we've made this bold. You look for the next thing you want to make bold. Let's say dog. You start the B tag, which stands for bold, and then you end it just after the text that you want to make bold. When I save that and I refresh, we'll see that fox and dog on the first line is in bold. If I want to make something in italic, let's say we want to say over, I want over to be in italics. I'll use the I tag before I start writing the over, and I'll close the I tag after the over. And this is on the second line. And when I refresh my page, I'll see that over on the second line is in italics. Now there's another tag we call the EM tag, which means emphasize. It's going to show in italics, but this makes more meaning for accessibility when you have screen readers that want this to be emphasized. So it's going to still show like italic, but it emphasizes the text. We have another thing that we can use to make it text bold, but we want it emphasized. We call it the strong tag, like this. And so let's say I change this to strong. The person who puts in the chat repeats italic command. Yeah, you can repeat if you want the I tag on more than one stop, but you don't want it on the whole text. You start the I tag where that text starts, end it where it ends, go to the next one where you want it to start again, and end it where it ends. But if you want it for the whole text, you can start it from the beginning of the text and end it at the end of the text. Okay, I don't know if that answered the question. So when we have strong tag, it makes it bold, but when we have screen readers or all of those devices, it emphasizes, or it strongly emphasizes that. It puts a strong emphasis on that. We have another tag we call the U tag, which is for underline. Let's say I want to underline brown. But I want to underline the same thing I made bold. Let's use this for a different illustration. I've made this bold, but I want it underlined too. So after the first B tag, or before or after, wherever you want, I'm going to put the U tag, and I'm going to close it first. So you are going to close them in reverse order of how you open them. So B comes before U, you close U before you close B. When I save this, you'll find that fox is bold and underline at the same time. So when I refresh my page, bold and underline all at once. We have the mark tag that we can use to highlight a text. Let's say I want to highlight quick, for instance. I can use something we call mark to start there, and I will end mark. The highlight is going to be in yellow by default. You can use CSS to change the default colors. When I save this and I refresh, mark is highlighted, the quick is highlighted here. I'm using the tag. Yes, I only stand for italic encoding. When you use I, it means that you're making that text italic. So we use B means for bold, U for underline, I for italics. EM means emphasize. It's still going to display in italics. Strong means that you want it to have a strong emphasis, but it's still going to display in bold. Mark means you want to highlight that part of the text. So you can have a reference manual where you know what tag does what, and practice is what will make you really understand this by reflex and know that, okay, this is the tag I'm supposed to use. So once you successfully design your first web page and you are able to know where to use the tag, then it's going to come easy for you to always use them. If I want to strike through something, let's say for instance, I have this one, let's say lazy, and I want to strike through the lazy, and I want to put sleepy, for instance. There's a tag called DEL, delete, and I'll close the tag. All the formatting tags have are not void elements. They all have closing tag. And I want to strike through this and put something like sleepy, for instance. So this will be cancelled, strike through, and then this is going to display. So I'll save this, refresh. I have lazy strike through and sleepy replacing it. So this is how we strike through there in HTML. Or we can actually use insert. Let's say while we deleted something, we can use INS here, and put this, close INS, save this, refresh, and then we have that underlined. So it's always going to be displayed like it's underlined. So you want to know what tags exist and how you use them appropriately. You don't want to use a tag for what it is not meant for. So for those who are science teachers here, or who are going to develop a school website, and you're going to have text in things like chemistry. Let's say, for instance, on the site you want to write a chemical formula. Let's say we want to put something like sulfuric acid, H2SO4. Then I'll close P. Now, when this is placed on the page, it does not look like a chemical formula. It's just H2SO4. Some of us already know that, okay, this is what they want to write, but it does not display well. We have a tag that we can use, the sub and the sub tag. When we use sub, S-U-B, we means we are making it a subscript. And we want this to be a subscript, which means that S-U-B, it should be below the H. And then we want for too. SUB, and then we close after the for, SUB. Save this. No, you don't want to use a tag for what it is not meant for. While it will display correctly, when you have people with disability using their different devices, screen readers and so, it begins to read these things wrongly to them. So you always want to use a tag for what it is meant for. So insert, if you want to use italic, you do italic. If you want to insert, after a delete, you use insert. So it will be able to read this because screen readers read out loud for people. And it reads the HTML text actually, not just the page. And so you want to make sure that the tags are what they are meant for. For accessibility, if you want, for instance, you want to say a particular word, you don't want it bold is to display on the page as bold. But if you want the screen reader to emphasize that text and say this is in bold, you use a strong tag. If you want to use italics and you want them to emphasize it and it's in italics, you use the emphasis tag. So while it's going to display in italics for people who can see, for the blind is going to be emphasized for them to know that this is it. Strong and bold, the same thing. Bold, we can see it that it's bold, but when the screen reader reads it, it's going to put a strong emphasis on it. Okay? So when you are using it, the recommendation is to use bold for things that are bold. But if you know that it is bold, not just because you are putting it in bold for people to be able to see it, you are putting it in bold because you want, there's a strong emphasis on that word. So you want the screen readers to read it with that strong emphasis. You use a strong tag instead of the bold. So people who are not blind will see it bold, people who are blind will hear it strong. Okay, so for the sub, we save this, we refresh, and then we have this. Now you can see that there's a mistake in how I wrote this tag, and look at how it is displayed. So we'll go back to this and see that I didn't close this. I put a start tag, and instead of an end tag, I put a start tag also. So when I close it properly, it's going to now display properly H2SO4 the way we want it. If what I want to do is to write like the cube root of something, so which means, or the square root of something, which means it's going to be raised to the power of 2. Let me do this like this. So if I say 2 raised to the power of 5, it's going to present like 25 on the page when I refresh. So it will not make any sense that I'm writing 2 raised to the power of 5. But when I come here, I want it to be a superscript, the 5. So I'll use the SUP, sup, before the 5 and close it after the 5, like this. And when I refresh, I have that 2 raised to the power of 5. So these are some of the most important formatting elements. If you research, you'll find some more, but these are the ones that we're going to actually need and use most of the time, right? The lesson resource for the week has 2 labs that will guide you towards creating your first web page, and the assignments also. We've actually practically answered the assignment question while we're doing this. The assignment has just the same thing: design a web page and format it like this and submit your code. Before we move to the other item. I will take questions if anybody has question, and then I will now give you a demonstration of how to get to your classroom, because I recognize some people are just only on YouTube and are not going into the classroom to look at the content. So any question before we move forward?
Okay, good evening.
Good evening. Yeah.
Yes, I want to ask what we are using, is it Notepad or Dreamweaver that we are using to write our codes?
So you can use any text editor you want, but I'll recommend you use Visual Studio Code. But I'm using Atom for my own demonstration. If you need to use Atom, you want to use Atom, I can send you a link to how to download it. If you have problems with internet and download is hard, you can easily use Notepad++ or the Notepad that comes default with Windows system, or TextEdit that comes default with MacBook. But take note that if you use those default text editors, you won't have it color-coded and with syntax highlighting that tells you where the start and the end of each tag is. It's just going to be a plain text editor. So while you can use any text editor of your choice, I recommend that you use Visual Studio Code as your first choice, and if not, you use Atom as your second choice. Does that answer your question? So if you go to, let's just show you where you go to, atom.io, I think. So now the Atom has been sunset. That's why you can find the link here to where to download it. But if you want to download previous version, you come here, you click on download the previous version of Atom here, and then when that loads, so you go to atom.io. When that loads, you begin to look for which version you download, and I think it's going to be Atom Windows.zip, this one. You can do the x64 based on your operating system, or you can just download this. And for MacBook, you download that. So the thing is to go to atom.io, it will take you to the repository. You click on previous version and you come and download the one for Windows, the zip file, or you download the one for Mac, depending on your operating system. Then when you download, you look for your setup file and then you install it. If you want Visual Studio Code, you come to code.visualstudio.com and then you download, because I'm using a Mac, so it's automatically selected Mac. But for you, if you are using Windows, Windows is what will show here. You download it and then you install it. Okay? More questions?
And again, I want to ask, so after this tutorial, are we going to have access to the recording batch so that we can listen to it over again?
Yes. So once the recording is done, within 24 hours, you have it posted in the classroom and on YouTube. So let's go to the site, school.mildredgroup.com. Once you are on the site, you log in with your credential. You check you are not a robot to ask you to verify, and we'll verify. Say try again. And then you log in. Okay. So once you are here, this is the student homepage. You can look at information. You can click on Getting Started video here that gives you a demo of how to get into the classroom, submit your assignments. There's a video here on YouTube that gives you all of that. So when you click on the Getting Started video here, it will give you every information you need. So when you get to the page, it shows you here the courses you are enrolled for, the enrollment status. It will show you your payment status for those who pay. Now, people have asked about payments. We do not collect money until 5 weeks. The reason is sometimes students think they can cope, and by the time it's like week 3, they realize that maybe this is not the course for them, or they cannot cope, or maybe they don't like something. And at that point, you can just go and the system automatically unregister you by week 5. For those that remain by week 5, then you will get an invoice on the page for you to pay to continue to week 21. So our structure is evaluate the course, see if it is right for you first for the first 5 weeks before you make payments to finish the course. Okay, so you will find your payment status here, and you will get the payment information by week 5. Most payments are by bank transfer, and you will find it when you come here and you look at my accounts and payments. And on this page, on the table here, you find your invoice here for those who want to pay with PayPal. And if you don't want to use PayPal, you can use a direct bank transfer for any of the banks, depending on your country and what is easier for you. Once you make payments, you will take your deposit slip, send it via email, and within 24 hours, your accounts will be reactivated as paid. Okay? Then this is for this. So here we have update my profile. This is important towards the end of the course where you want your name to be correct for your certificates, and you come here to update your profile, put as much information as is necessary for you. If all information are not required, the most important is your first name, middle name, last name because of certificates. All the others are, if you want to, they're optional. Your date of birth is also required, but address and country, they're not required, but we would like it for statistics purpose if you fill it in. You can update a profile picture, upload if you want to. It's also not required, but it will be good if you do that. And then for identity documents, you can also update your identification documents like the data page of your government issued ID. And this will be required for certificates because we do not want students less than 13 years in the course going forward. Payment is not every week. Now the course is discounted for this year, which means you pay $50 as against the normal $750 for the whole course to complete the course. By next year, subsequent batches will have to pay the full amount, but for your batch, all you need to pay is the administrative fee of $50 by week 5, and that's the only payment you make. If you want to pay instrumentally, then you can send an email and we'll give you that information by week 5, and you will suggest your payment structure on how you feel comfortable to pay, and then we'll either approve or decline or suggest a new payment structure. So that's how the payments will be. So you will choose what is convenient, but you have to seek approval for that. Either you pay once or you pay. But we're going to tell you, based on your country of residence, the exchange rates to use if you're going to do by bank transfer, and if you are not able to pay in the dollars that it is. Okay? No, there is no financial aid because the course is already a giveaway as it is. So there is no financial aid for this year for the course. What we have is for students who have graduated, they have paid internship programs. I think we have 6 students on internship, and that pays $5 per hour. And we just only let students to stay 4 weeks, place them on real-world life projects in other countries to see what the real production environment is. And for training, it's very competitive, and those positions are only open to students who have gone halfway in their current registered courses, or they've completed a course, and subject to availability of projects and spots, because we always have a lot of projects, and sometimes instead of employing people from the outside, we just use students as interns to learn what it is to be in the engineering environment, learn on the job, learn new things, and understand the structure, and also get stipend while doing that. So we have looked at how to do this, and when there are open internships or jobs that students are eligible to apply for, you will find them listed here, and you can click on that to do that. Then we have accounts and payments, which will be illustrated. On the home page here, we have coursework submission. Here you will click on coursework submission. You will select the course you are registered for. In the drop-down menu, you are going to have a list of all the courses that you're registered for. Take note of your course code. For this class, you are batch A of WebDev01. So the course code for you is WebDev01 24A. Every 5 weeks, we have new batches join the school. So you always know your own batch. So you get class, and this will give you the submission. To submit your assignment, you select the assignment ID. Now, this is the only assignments on your page. Take note of the ID. In case you have 2 assignments on the page, you don't want to submit the wrong assignments. The assignment ID is always on your assignment file on the page. So you submit the assignment ID, you choose your file. Now your assignments, when you finish writing your assignments on your text editor like this, you copy the code, you open a Word document. Let's open a Word document here. And then you paste the code here. You save it with your first name, underscore, last name, underscore. If it's assignment 1, 1. And then you save. And so that is the document that you are going to upload here when you choose file. Okay? Then if there is a text you need to type here, you will type, but most of the time it's optional and there is nothing to type. If we get to, by the time we get to week 14, when you begin to send your code to your source code repository, you paste the link to your repository here. But for now, you don't need that. You only need to select your assignment ID, your assignment file. If there's any text for the assignments, and based on the assignment question, you paste it here. And then if you have a comment or a note to the grader, you can put the note here. Maybe you submitted previously and you want to resubmit, you can now say, take this as my final submission or something, and then you submit. Then these links are not enabled, but this is where you will submit projects when we have projects to submit. This is where we submit group work when we have them. If you have your submissions here, once you submit here, you will find the assignment you've submitted here. If it doesn't show on this page, it means your submission did not go through. And then when your assignment is graded, you view your grades here. You find the grade and the grade comment on the last part. So the link again is to come to this home icon. You come to coursework submission, select the course that you want to submit for, click get class, and then the first tab will submit the assignment. The view submission tab will show you what you have submitted, and the view grades tab will show you the grade when it is graded. We do not grade, sometimes we grade before the deadline, but we try to wait until after the deadline, at least 48 hours after the deadline, to release your grades for you to see your grade here. So if assignment is due on Thursday, by Wednesday, you would have gotten your grade. On Sunday, sorry, by the following Wednesday, you would have gotten your grade. Now we're just looking at the home page of the class. For you to get to the classroom now, you'll see on this left side, there is registered courses classroom. When you expand that, you will see classrooms. All the courses you are registered for will have their classrooms listed. For this course, you select this. And once you select this, you're in the classroom. You have all your announcements here in the classroom. Everything that has been sent as announcements you get as email is displayed on this page for you to come back. Announcements will expire every week. By tomorrow, new announcements will be here. Old announcements will go away. You have this we call course resource. So your lesson notes for the week is here. You can click here to open the file, and you have your lesson notes that has all the code and everything we discussed here. So every time you look at the course resource, every week until week 5, you have new resource. From week 5, we will let you form your notes yourself, because at that point, we'll notice that a lot of people are more comfortable and they already know what they're doing. So we begin to stop holding hands too much for you to be able to really fly. On this table here, it will show you what lessons have been uploaded and their start date and their end date when the closes. So you can see that this is an assignment, then this is the due date on the 4th of February. So when you look at the lessons here, these first 3 lessons here shows you the current week we are and the current lesson for that week. So this is where you can watch them. On this side, we have assignment, project, group work. When you expand this, you see the assignments. You have the due date here, the file for the assignments. When you click on view file, it will download your file for you, or it will display your file for you to see what the assignment is about. And then when you look at the due date, you look at the submission instruction here. Copy and paste your code in Microsoft Word documents, and then it gives you the instruction of submission. Tells you the score possible and the grading rubric, how it's going to be graded here. So you can expand each of these lessons to watch it here. A lot of people have complained in previous batches that they prefer it on YouTube. It's easier to download and the file is not as heavy because of their network. And for that reason, we have watch on YouTube here for you to see the different lessons. and you want to click here, it takes you directly to that the same lesson on YouTube. So whatever you see here is what is displayed above here, the same 3 lessons above here. The difference is that every week this expires and leaves the page, but YouTube will remain for you to watch previous lessons. Also, if you want to watch previous lessons, again, you can come here and look at expired classes. And this is going to display previous lessons for the class that you have selected. If you want to look at all the lessons that have that doesn't display on the other page anymore, you want to just watch those videos, you play the video here. Okay, and every time you want to go to your classroom, you come to registered courses classroom, select your course code, and you're in the classroom. This is where you find all the information about your classes, your videos, your assignments. Okay. If you want to look at open jobs and internship positions here, you can click on this link to list any internship position open. When if you're eligible to apply, you can just click on apply. It takes you to the form to upload your form, your resume to apply. If you want to register for other courses, this shows you courses that are open to be registered for. So for people who want to do front-end and back-end at the same time, we have back-end development in Python open. It runs for 30 weeks. Classes start on the 26th of February, and you can click here to register directly if you want to be in that class. It's not advisable for you to do 2 classes concurrently, especially if you don't have prior programming experience. It is going to get very time-consuming and frustrating. So we always encourage people to do 1 at a time so you can get the quality out of anything you do instead of spreading yourself too thin. Okay. So if you want to look at course catalog, this is where you come to, and it will give you the details of all what is in the course, the different topics that will be discussed every week. You'll find it there. On the home page, you always find a calendar here for calendar of events. So for the course you are registered for, you can just search it here, WebDev01 24A, and we don't have that dev here. And then it gives you, okay, this is week 1 starts and week 1 ends tomorrow. Assignment is due. You know exactly when week 2 starts, which starts tomorrow. You know the topics that will be discussed and how many videos you're expected to watch, and then it is due. The day assignment is due and due, so you can plan and know which week you have assignments and which week you have a quiz and which week you have no assignments, where you see no graded work or something, or which week that there is so no graded assignments, and which week you have a break for when there are public holidays that are worldwide. Okay. So anybody with a question before we end? This is the end of our demo and our lesson. So anybody with question? So if you have no question, I'll see you all next week. Thank you for joining us and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.